Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. I'm going to be posting this video a little bit early today because we have some developments in Snope v. Brown and Ocean Tactical v. Rhode Island. Two very important cases that are both challenging semi-auto bans and mag capacity bans. So let's talk about what just happened at the Supreme Court this morning. Now, before we get too deep into what's going on here, this video is proudly sponsored by Aura. Now, think of a time when you heard of a company that you used that had a data breach. What did you do about it? Did you just sit there and cross your fingers and hope nothing happened to you? Or did you take action? I mean, just Google yourself. You might be surprised how much information is already available for anyone to see. Well, instead of just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, get Aura. Aura monitors your personal data, including your social security numbers, across billions of data points like the dark web to alert you about potential identity theft, and every adult on the account, up to 5, gets $1 million in identity theft coverage. That's a total of $5 million per one account. But Aura doesn't stop there. With Data Broker Opt-out, Aura will help you remove your personal identifying information from data brokers and people's search sites that sell your information to scammers and thieves. Aura also has 24/7 US-based support, a secure password manager, antivirus, VPN, and more. And you get all that on one app at one affordable price. Now, I personally recommend Aura, and you really have nothing to lose because you could try Aura free for 2 weeks. So instead of just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, check out the link down below or click the link in the description box to try Aura for yourself. Okay, so let's go and talk about what's going on here. Now, if you were not aware, there's actually 4 Second Amendment cases that are currently sitting before the Supreme Court. The 2 cases that I've been focusing on primarily, however, have been Snope v. Brown and Ocean Tactical v. Rhode Island. The reason I've been focusing on these 2 is because, to me, these are 2 of the most pressing issues that we have in this country right now, which are going to be, so-called assault weapons bans, and that's what's covered by Snope v. Brown, which challenges Maryland's ban, and then also Ocean Tactical v. Rhode Island, which is challenging mag capacity limitations. So, all these states out there that are saying that you can't have a magazine that can hold more than 10 rounds, that's something that needs to be addressed by the Supreme Court. So this whole thing about semi-automatics that have different features and magazine capacity bans, those need to be addressed. And so those are the 2 cases that I've been focusing on. Well, we just got a very new and important development early this morning, and that's because both of these cases, which were sent up to the Supreme Court back in August of 24, have been waiting for a conference date, and we had finally got that conference date. The conference date was Friday, January 10th, and a conference is basically where all the Supreme Court justices get together and decide what they're going to do with all the cases they have before them that are set for conference on that day. Are they going to decline them? Are they going to accept them? Are they going to move them down the road for whatever reason? That's when they get together to figure that stuff out. And on Monday is when we find out what they decided to do. Now, the worst possible thing could be that they would deny these cases. And we've seen that in the past. We've seen them get kicked down the road. We've seen them get denied and sent back down to the lower courts, even when the lower courts' decisions were absolutely absurd. And that's what we were hoping to avoid. Well, thankfully, these cases were not denied. They were actually moved to a new conference next Friday on January 17th. Now, in my mind, that's a good development. And the reason that's a good development is because it means that these Supreme Court justices are taking their time in reviewing these cases, not just taking a look at it and saying, oh, this is something that we've seen before. We decided not to take it before, so we're just going to kick it back down to the lower courts. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit more research on it and reconference next week. So let's get back together on this one and see what we need to do. Now, there could be a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. You could have their research clerks kind of going over stuff and bringing more information. Maybe the information is not complete, or they hadn't had enough time to really dive deep into everything that's going on, because again, there's a lot that's happening here. But it's very good that they moved it on to next week. Now, there's a better chance that they could accept it next week, and they could kick it down the road. I mean, we know that there is a chance they could deny it. The Supreme Court's been terrible with Second Amendment cases, in its lifetime. But there is a chance they could deny it. But for the most part, we're looking at next week now, January 17th, for a new conference date. And then we'll find out the following Monday whether or not they decided to deny, accept, or kick down the road again. Now, you have to remember, with other cases that we've seen in the past, sometimes they've kicked them down the road 6 times. I mean, we're talking 6 full weeks of conferences, and then they've decided to accept them. So it's not really unheard of that these things get kicked down the road and then picked up by the Supreme Court later on. So just because they were moved to next week doesn't mean that, all hope is lost here. It could, like I said, it could turn out to be a good thing, but at least for now, we know that they have not denied it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to take away from this, is that they hadn't sent it back down. It wasn't like a reverse and remand or anything like that. It wasn't anything negative. It was just a move to next week. So now we're going to have to wait till next week to find out exactly what the Supreme Court is going to do. And hopefully this time they will just take it. That's my hope, obviously. I don't want them to move it down the road anymore. I'm sick of waiting. We've been waiting for forever, right? For a decision on these types of bans that we're seeing across the country. The Supreme Court has to do something about this. And if they don't do something about it soon, then we're in big trouble, because more and more states seem to be implementing new laws like this just about every single year. So again, things are getting pretty tight out there. We need the Supreme Court to step up and just tell the lower courts, hey, you're doing it wrong. These are absolutely protected by the Second Amendment. And I wanted to share that update with you guys today. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I know it's a little bit earlier than normal, but again, I wanted to get this breaking news out to you. Thanks again. You guys have a good one.